Hello and welcome to What Did She Say? I'm your host Chrissy and this is part 2 of Camp Cult. Now I'm just going to continue with the flow because I just recorded part 1. I'm going to go into part 2 now. Okay, so let's go. I'm not going to give you a catch up of my life. If you want to hear that, go to part 1. But now we are in part 2 of Camp Cult. So bedtime was awful a lot of the time because it now just means our end of day meetings don't start before 12:15 a.m. Now, those end of day meetings were apparently to go through every part of the camp, discuss how well or not well it went during the day and how we could improve. These meetings could go from 30 minutes to an hour. And after these silly, ridiculous little meetings, we'd have to have our little team meetings. So honestly, guys, you're not going to sleep before 2 a.m. And do you remember what time I told you we need to be up for? 8:30. No, 8:30 we were waking up the kids. Okay? So that's how our days were running. You're expecting us to work all day. You're expecting us to give 110% energy. Do you know how often, by the way, in those meetings, in those nighttime meetings, we were being whipped? We were being literally told that we ain't shit. In that first week, Tooth Fairy would come and say to us, I could replace every single one of you right now. I've got 5 camp monitors waiting for this opportunity, but I chose you. He literally did that. And the next morning when I went to go tell him about himself, I was like to him, who the Halle Berry do you think you are to talk to me like that? He goes to me, Chrissy, no, I'm so sorry. I was not talking to you. He literally said to me, I want you to know something. None of what I was saying last meeting had anything to do with you. You are perfection. You. I was like, I don't care. I know that. I know my self-worth. I know the baddie I am. But you need to understand that you can't go around breaking people's spirit down and then expect them to wake up the next morning and be everything. You are overworking us to the bone and then coming in the middle of the night and telling us that we ain't shit. People are literally crying. I'm not joking. After those meetings, I'd go into the cabin and the girls are crying. Some girls are literally crying. They're like, I can't take this. This is psychologically and physically so exhausting, right? Those midnight meetings were awful a lot of the time because it would never be about well done for making it through the day. Well done for doing the impossible. It was always, you didn't do this well enough. You allowed one of the kids with allergies to walk into the wrong queue. You allowed this and this and this to happen. You allowed da-da-da-da. You ain't shit. But for why? Because it never helped anyone. Positive reinforcement is the way to go. When I want a man to carry my bag, I just look at him and I say, wow, your biceps are so big. And guess what he does? He carries my bag. So Tooth Fairy, brother, you've got 0 people management skills. How did you get this job? Let me not. Moving on. So those were our midnight meetings. I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm going to tell you something really funny. I think it was our first or second midnight meeting. I was so tired. I was in pain. Do you ever get to a point of exhaustion where everything hurts? I'm sitting there, in the meeting. And I'm like, when is this going to end? When is this going to end? It doesn't end. He just keeps on chatting more and more and more wassa. So I literally just go, are we done? And he goes, well, not really. I still need to talk about this and this. And I was like, okay, but that has nothing to do with me. So I'm going to go to sleep. I stood up and I walked out. The look on that man's face, and I'm not going to lie. The next morning, I was like, that's kind of crazy. I know I embarrassed him. But a girl had to do what she had to do. I had to put me first, Lucius. I had to put me first. So I texted him. I was like, hey, Tooth Fairy, I'm sorry. I know that was a bit I took the piss a little bit there, but I was really, 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 really tired. I was in agony. I'm really sorry. Do you know what this man said to me? Chrissy, don't worry, Chrissy. Don't worry. I completely understand. Can I just ask you, can you please make this a public apology? Can you please publicly apologize in the next meeting to me? Because, I need to make sure that I look like a hench guy in front of everyone. I said, you must be on drugs. How little do you think of yourself for you to need me to come up on the mic and apologize to you in front of all the mandem? Crazy. Of course, I ignored that request. That's just ridiculous. I'm not here to apologize for you in front of a show. I'm here to apologize because I take accountability for my actions. Get out of my face. I do feel like it's worth talking about the kids. This specific week, we had such an incredible group of children. They were all there was actually a primary school. The school that I was working with was I think they were all in about year 6, the equivalent to our year 6. And they were the sweetest children ever. Even the most problematic children was just so sweet. And I was able to get through to them. And we just had such a good time. I loved them so much. Like, when I tell you, I cried my eyes out on the last day. Me and the kids are just sitting there crying. It was crazy. I just loved them so much. They were so incredible. They were so sweet. They were so kind. And we just had so much fun. Even with the lack of sleep and the tiredness and the hunger and everything, we had such a good time. I think that's what kept me going, you know, those children, that's what kept me going. And also another really great part about week 1 was the fact that me and Qualified were actually in like different schools. So he was on a completely different timetable to me. So what we did to make sure that we got in our little like special time together on our quality time was every time one of us had a break, we'd make sure that like we'd come together. He would smoke. So we would run off to around like the back of the camp and I would stay with him and like do his little smoke breaks with him. I obviously wouldn't smoke, but I would just sit there with him and we just like, you know, catch up on the day and laugh and giggle. Like that for me was safe haven. Because no matter how hard the day was, I was always just like looking forward to my time with Qualified, and we just sit there and laugh and like catch up and say, oh my gosh, guess what this person did and guess what this kid did and da. Like that was so fun. It was just fun trying to like work out timetable schedules. It was honestly really fun. And to be fair, the monitors that I was actually working with in that team, they were a bit jarring. I had an issue with one of them that week because she was crazy. Homegirl did nothing. She did nothing. She literally sat down the whole time, which, you know what? Slay, because she got away with it until the end of the week where she was just like, I'm done. So that was our second Brexiter. She left at the end of the week and she was like, bye. Now, me and her did have a little bit of beef because when I tried to ask you a question, you want to now give me attitude? Spark you in your jaw. But it's fine. When she left, I was like, okay, bye, whatever. She was tapped, but she was gone. Brexit. Bye. Rip. Now comes the first weekend. The first weekend at camp. The kids are gone. We said goodbye. We've cried our tears. And now it's time to be in the camp by ourselves. Do you remember when I told you that we were going to have a car? We were told we were going to have a car on site to take us around. There were going to be planned activities for us, take us around the city. That was all cap. It was lies from the demon. Everyone left us. Guys, Tooth Fairy left us. Smelly Cat left us. All the coordinators left us. We, the English volunteers, were left on a campsite all alone. We were told there was going to be no one on the campsite except for us. Do you know the food that was left for us? Was all the leftovers from the week. They got the kitchen to box up all the leftovers from the week and put it in the fridge for us. So on the Friday before Tooth Fairy left, I made an executive decision that I and 2 other men, so that they can do the heavy lifting, would go to the supermarket 10 minutes down the road in a car. Someone needs to take us in a car. I don't give a crap who it is, but someone will do that. Take us so that we can go to shopping. I, again, Mother Bear, apparently, took everyone's requests and did a full shop for the camp and got everyone what they needed so that they can survive this weekend without eating slop. I went to the supermarket with 2 pricks. If there was a word, I want to create a word for a creation of man who possess 0 masculinity, who possess not 1 ounce of gentlemanness, not 1 ounce of integrity, not 1 ounce of manliness or manners. You were raised in a barn, okay? Because I went to the supermarket with these 2 guys who I told to come with me on the basis that they would do the heavy lifting, right? Do you know what they came and did? They came, they brought their own trolleys and they started filling up their trolleys with alcohol, snacks, and other crap that they wanted. One of them literally looks at me, the Tory, and he goes to me, I don't know why you're doing this. Like, you should literally just, get people whatever they want and let them pay for it. And I was like, that doesn't even make sense. I'm doing a camp shop for the camp. I'm getting things for people to share as one. I'm doing a communal shop. What are you doing with your trolley filled with alcohol? I'm just getting what I want, me and the boys. I said, okay, so that's what you're doing. All right, you can suck yourself. He goes, then he starts looking at my trolley because I'm panicking because now, do you know what I mean? I'm now having to shop for 12 people. I'm kind of scared because what if someone doesn't want to split the cost? What if someone's like, I don't like juice. I don't like cookies. Why am I paying for this? Da-da-da. Guess what? I was right to be scared because that Tory started doing that. He looks at my trolley and he's like, well, I don't eat slush cheese. Well, I don't drink this and I don't do that. I'm not going to. And I was like to him, do you know what, Tory? You don't need to pay then. Tory, do you know what? I don't want to see you touch none of this. If you don't want to eat from this, don't, and I will not ask you to split the bill with us. How about that? Because I don't mind. First of all, isn't your dad Prince Philip? Isn't that your dad? So why are you acting pressed over splitting a bill? I don't understand. So I finalised the shop. Guys, do you know how much it ends up being per person? £3 something. So the whole time I was panicking and my anxiety was running through the roof in that shop. Per person, it was only like £3.90. If that prick, the Tory, didn't stress me out so much and start yanking things out of the trolley, we could have got so much more for like £5 each. So that was my experience in the first shop. And that is when I decided that Tory needs to stay away from me because you are scum. Like, you are an awful human being. Like, God forgive me. But that man, oh my gosh, the beef I had with that man was crazy. And I'll probably tell you about it. So the weekend, that's how we started it on the Friday night. I did the communal shop. A couple of people said thank you. Most didn't, but I don't really care. Like, it is what it is. And I remember we're literally left on this campsite. We were told by Tooth Fairy, who ended up leaving us, listen, like, you can do whatever you want. Like, you can just chill. You can go on the kayaks if you want. They're open to you. You know, if you fall and drown, I guess that's a you problem. But like, try to be safe, you know, womp womp. If you die, you know, there was no other, like, there was no one on site, you know. They closed the restaurant. We weren't allowed in. So if you wanted to use Wi-Fi, you'd literally have to like stand by the door and just scrape some Wi-Fi in. And yeah, that was pretty much it. On the Saturday, however, when I woke up, why am I seeing strange men walk around the campsite? Because no one told us that was going to happen. No one told us there were going to be men just being able to walk around the campsite. And I just think that's really weird, especially when the majority of us are women. And you wouldn't inform us that there are literal, like, strange men just walking up and down the campsite. Like, I don't know. I found that weird, but I found a lot of things weird in that place. Cool. During the weekend, me and Qualified just kind of chilled. Didn't really do much. I think we went out on the kayak. Like, I can't really remember too much from the weekend. It was very mundane. I went on a little hike for myself. It was just chill. On the Sunday night, Tooth Fairy and Smelly Cat came back and we had a little team meeting. He bought us pizza and we just kind of discussed the coming week. The Monday morning, he wanted another team meeting. So we all gathered on the table, the sun was out, and this is what Tooth Fairy wanted us to do. He wanted us to all apologize for our downfalls of the last week. This sick freak basically said, every single one of us has done something wrong last week. I want us to go around the table and I want us to apologize for what we've done wrong. When I tell you, I was just sitting there cackling because what is wrong with you? Who gave this man a position of power? I'd love to know. Whatever. We did it. I can't even remember what. I think I was like, I'm sorry that I take my breaks on time and I come back a little bit later because I'm tired. Shoot me. Honestly, it was actually just BS. It was BS from top to bottom. Whatever. New school arrives. Now, they're a little bit older. I think I have year 9. I think I have year 9. And my cabin of girls now, they are still really sweet and really, like, whatever. But they're a little bit more, I don't know, sassy, I guess. But I can handle it. They were really lovely. I really, really did like them, actually. We had a good time. I got on with all the other, like, cabins and all the other kids in that specific school. This time, me and Qualified were in the same school. So we were actually working together. We were doing activities together. So that was really, really fun. My coordinator this week was actually Smelly Cat. Now, you would think, since Smelly Cat is literally right underneath the director, which is Tooth Fairy, you'd think she'd know what she's doing. She did not. She was awful. She was awful at management. She was awful with the kids. The kids did not like her. The kids did not rate her because all she knew how to do was scream. That is not how you get through to children. Like, sorry, that's just not how you do it. So yeah, she was super jarring, especially as like my coordinator, my direct coordinator. She was super jarring. Can you please tell me why this woman crashed out on me for playing bachata? Because obviously, as you know, this is an English speaking camp and you're not allowed to speak Spanish to the Spanish children. When I tell you, I would speak Spanish with these kids all the time. Hola, mi amor, ¿cómo estás? ¿Y tú? Muy bien. Buenas noches, buenas tardes. Like, I don't give a crap. This was advertised to me as a place where I could learn Spanish. I could, hone in on my Espanol. So best believe I was doing that. I was literally saying to the kids, you teach me Spanish and I will teach you English, okay? And as you could tell, there was no English classes. There was no English nothing. It was just about hearing instructions in English and doing things and speaking back in English. And a lot of the time the kids found that so hard because a lot of them were so like, they didn't know English. So I'd literally try my hardest to speak to them in Spanish and get them to like repeat things back to me in English. So one day I've got the speaker, I'm connected to the music, and I just thought, you know what, the kids are not vibing to Pharrell Williams Happy. So I just thought, let me give them a little bit of their culture. So I play bachata, not Smelly Cat running, and she screams, no Espanol. I'm like, seriously? He's like, Mom, cool, I switch it off, I play a different song. That same day, I think, or the next day, she catches me again playing Spanish music. I think I was playing Gata, and I'm not gonna lie, at this point I played it because I wanted to listen to it. She comes in again, crashing out. You're tapped, you can't convince me that woman is not tapped. Okay, moving on. Guys, we were working so hard, and imagine like having to talk for like 18 hours on end. Not only are you talking, you're like projecting your voice so much, so loud. I was constantly shouting and screaming, not like at the kids, but like trying to get them to hear me, because I could be working with a group of 70 children doing some like really, tough activities, and I need to make sure they all hear me. So I'm like, children, please make sure you're listening. My voice, all of our voices, to be fair, were gone after week 1. And in one of our meetings, we were told by Tooth Fairy, we can't afford to get you guys ginger strepsils. You need to stop shouting. So I put my hand up. I was like, brother, what do you mean? Because you're making one person look after 70 kids. Unless you're going to get me a mic or a megaphone, what do you mean stop shouting? What do you mean stop talking? Like, are you actually... No, I'm not trying to be cheap, but like £4 packet of strepsils, we can't. We got a coffee machine, right, for us to use, and he told us to share one coffee pod between 2. Do you know what this man said? He was like, I'm not trying to be cheap, I'm not trying to do that, no, it's to save Mother Nature. I don't think anyone listened to that, but I'm just trying to give you a really good view of the type of man this person was. Like, how are you using Mother Nature to gaslight us into your stinginess? I don't understand. Are you trying to like smallen the budget so that you can go and buy like, I don't know, your packet of cigarettes to make more teeth fall out? Make it make sense. And something on the smoking. If you smoked at that campsite, you were able to walk off and run off as many times as you want. Hey guys, I'm going on a smoke break, everyone cough my kids. Hey guys, I'm going on a smoke break, everyone shower my kids, do whatever. Like, that was the priority. The priority wasn't, hey guys, here's 15 minutes to go shower. Hey guys, here's 15 minutes to go get a drink, to go eat. No. Smoke break, you're good. By week 2, our coffee breaks were taken away. We were supposed to have 15 minutes, either I think in the morning or in the afternoon, to take coffee breaks. That was taken away. We were told that it was too disruptive to the timetable, so we don't need it. Now, in week 2, that's when I started to crash the F out. At the beginning of week 2, right, I messaged Tooth Fairy and I said, hey, we need to talk. He did not get back to me. He did not care to discuss the issues with me. And that made me even angrier. Because now more and more things just kept on getting more shady and more stupid and disgusting. And I was just really losing my shit. I'm going to tell you about a situation that happened on the weekend with the Tory. Not only with the Tory, but with the whole cabin of boys. I know I should have probably said this when I was talking about the weekend, but it just kind of circles to why I needed to speak with Tooth Fairy. Remember I told you that we were left the slop of the week in the fridges? There were 2 vegan girls with us, and these girls had like a limited amount of food that they could eat, but there was specific vegan meals that were made for them and put into the fridge. When we came back from the communal shop, I realized that those stinky, dirty boys, right, ran into the kitchen, took their grocery, and started stocking the fridge with their shit. They didn't help carry the communal shopping, because obviously they're not men. Why would they do that? When I brought in the communal shopping and I put it on the side, I expected them to put the stuff that needed to go into the fridge. Guess what? I came back an hour later, yogurts, juices, everything left outside. Because obviously it wasn't theirs, why would they put it away? I'm not gonna lie, in that moment I started to really get the ick. And I started to really look at these mandem sideways. I said, okay. So I started filling the fridge with the stuff that is communal, the yogurts, the juices, the cheeses, the whatever, the thing that's for everyone. The Saturday morning, I woke up in a great mood. And I see these group of boys walking up the hill, and I'm walking down. I'm like, good morning, sunshines. They're walking up, I'm walking down. You know, they've just come back from the kitchen. I go into the kitchen, guys, and I see all of the communal stuff out on the side, including the vegan girls' Tupperware, just left out. Because obviously these bastards needed to move the communal stuff out of the way to get down and deep into their crap. I was enraged. I was so fuming. Now, by the way, just to say something, I was fuming before I saw the vegan stuff, the vegan girls' Tupperware out. When I just saw the yogurts, the cheeses, the juices out, I was fuming. I literally sent a picture and I said, this is disgusting, to the group chat. I said, you boys need to do better. Now, when one of the girls walked in and she goes, oh my gosh, there's the vegan girls' food, it's even out as well. Like, they have no respect. That's it. I lost my shit. Because I said, you know what? It's one thing to violate the majority, but to violate the minority, I will not stand for it. And that's when I lost it, because those poor girls, they have nothing. And one of those girls was Bite Size. And me and Bite Size, we weren't even boys, but Bite Size got to eat or else she won't grow. And that's it. I put everything away and I started marching up the hill. I took my little ass and I started marching up the hill, and I said, I am bang, 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 bang on their door. Now, Qualified was just walking out and he was like, what's wrong? And I was like, no, open up your door right now and you chat to these boys. That's it. I was done. And I get Henna. He opens up the door and he starts recording because he's so messy. He starts recording. By the way, this whole video is actually on TikTok and it went a little bit viral. Lol. So he starts recording and basically I go in and I'm just like, boys, you're disgusting. I actually can't remember what I said, but I basically got onto them. I was just like, you are so disgusting. You have no respect. And they're all acting hella dumb. Like they're acting like they have no idea what's going on. Tori is the only one, who pipes up with attitude. The rest of them are just acting dumb. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with you acting dumb because you're not being disrespectful. Okay? Tori comes up and he goes, how do you know it was us? Sorry. He goes, how do you know it was us? And I was like, you were the only ones in the kitchen right now. All the girls are in their cabin sleeping. What do you mean, how do I know it was you? Then he goes, oh, well, don't talk to us like we're children. I said to him, when you start acting like an adult, I will treat you like an adult. Until then, have some respect and be a man. Slammed the door and I walked out. Obviously, I'm not trying to swear on this. That weakling had nothing to say to my face. He was just yapping because Qualified came and told me. He was just like, oh, I'm not going to let her talk to me like that. Next time, hold me back. Was there ever a next time? Nope. Anyways, my people. Couple hours go past and I'm like, do you know what? I don't want beef. I don't want peace. I don't want problems. I just want peace. So I went to the boys. They were downstairs in the kitchen now. And I was like, guys, listen. I don't want to raise my voice again. I don't want to talk to you in that manner again. So let's just be respectful of everyone's stuff. If you don't want to help anyone else but yourself, that's you. Like, you do you. I'm not here to raise you, right? But be respectful of other people's things. And you and me are cool. All the guys were just like, all right, cool. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. Cool. that one Tory goes, "Oh, yeah, well, as long as we all remember that we're adults here, then I'm good, I guess." And I was like, yeah, well, as long as we all act like adults, we'll be treated like adults. But if you act like a child, you're going to be spoken to like a child, okay? Cool. And I walked off. Because I'm trying to make peace and you're still being Prince Pervert son? Nah, bye. So that was the issue that I dealt with, I guess, on the weekend. And it just made me think, like, I am really surrounded by scum. Like, I am surrounded by the most individualistic, disgusting, selfish people. I've never been, like, brother, I'm Egyptian, I'm Christian. I come from community. I come from help and love and care for one another. Like, it was so exhausting. And it came to a point where I started to think, am I the problem? Even those girls, not one of them turned around to, like, back me, or not one of them turned around to, like, to say, guys, this is a problem. They all just sat there in silence while I kind of just took all the brunt. And that's okay. I don't need anyone's help. But, like, when I reflect upon it now, I'm just like, you're pricks. Every single one of you pricks. Remember I told you that I needed to speak to Tooth Fairy specifically about what happened on the weekend, but then I also wanted to discuss with him some of the things that were happening in week 2 that I just thought were kind of atrocious, like, you know, taking away our breaks and whatnot. He gave me no time of day. And I find that kind of weird because in week 1, you wanted to lick the ground I walked on. And now I'm getting no time from you. I thought that was a bit weird, but I was like, it's fine. But the longer the week went on, the more issues I started to realize, you know. The kids now, because they were older, I found were very rude. Not to me specifically, but a lot of the kids were swearing in Spanish. And because we were supposed to cosplay that we don't understand Spanish, a lot of them were getting away with it, but never me. There was one girl, I tried to go wake her up. She wasn't even in my cabin. She was in one of my friend's cabins. I went to go wake her up to do my friend a favor. And she started swearing in Spanish. She wasn't swearing at me. She was just like swearing. Like, you know when you say, oh, F this, F that, F that. So I was like to her, if you ever swear at me again, you're done. She was so shocked. She was so shocked because this camp had convinced everyone that even when kids are swearing at you, you are not allowed to act like you know. Guys, it got so bad that there were some girls who, especially the Spanish natives, they would literally come and tell me, oh, the 16-year-old boys are talking about how they want to F me and do this to me and do that to me. And they keep on making comments about our bums and our boobs and our that. But obviously I have to just sit there quietly and act like I don't know. Firstly, why do you look like you like that? I'm not joking. There was one girl who, she was smiling. She was smirking. She looked like she liked it because you're a sick freak. Why are you not saying something? This is your literal language. You know, and that kind of scared me because I know Spanish. I know a little bit of Spanish. I know a few swear words. But if someone was saying that to me, I wouldn't know. If boys were making those comments about me, I would not know. So if you want to try to convince me this is not a cult, take that story and run with it because that's freaky as shit. I don't care. You cannot convince me that ain't freaky shit. Not only were we not allowed to, like, deal with children swearing at us, we weren't apparently allowed to punish them. Like, we weren't allowed to, like, take them out of activities because they've paid for these activities. And if the parents or teachers find out that the kids are not doing the activities they paid for, you know, the camp itself could get into a lot of trouble. Do you think I gave a damn about that? If there was one child piping up or riling up or not following the safety instructions, best believe their ass is sitting out on the pavement because I'm not handling and I'm not dealing with you. I'm not even paid for this. I can't even say I'm not getting paid enough for this. I am not getting paid for this. So that's another thing that I just think is crazy. These men, the only thing they cared about was money, not child safety, not our care, just money. Now, I want to tell you about a game that we played with the kids. It was called Fortnite, and essentially it was in the middle of the night, like 11 p.m. And essentially the game was, you know those long foamy things that you have in the pool? The monitors go around hitting and whacking the kids with it. Don't get me wrong, I did it with all the passion in my heart. I was sprinting, chasing after those kids and whacking them left, right and centre. But when I deep it, I'm like, how tapped is this organisation? Man said one of the activities is just child abuse. Don't get me wrong, I did it. I did it wholeheartedly and gladly because those kids were jarring as shit. But how freaky is that we just get to, like, hit kids with a foam noodle? And by the way, that foam noodle hurt. I wasn't hurting the kids, by the way. I was just like tapping. I would hit them on the ankles. I'm not hitting the kids on the head and shit. But like, I saw monitors whacking the kids in the neck, in the face, in the belly, in the... I was hitting them more like, you know, on the ankles, on the legs, just whacking it here and there. But like, I'm not trying to hurt these kids because I'm not a freak. That was really weird. That was really weird. Another nighttime game was something called Crazies, where essentially we were told to cosplay mental illnesses sometimes. Like, oh, you need to pretend like you're a crazy cat lady who's lost all her family and you're screaming in the middle of the night. That's exactly who I played. I just played the crazy cat lady. There was another guy, bloody Bruno, played a bipolar person who was happy and sad every 5 minutes. And the kids would have to come and like record what type of like crazy you have. I don't know, guys. It was so tapped. But we did it. That yeah. Now, if I bring you back to our midnight meetings in week 2, something that I found very interesting was part of the manipulation and the cult-like energy was giving the illusion of choice. Every time someone brought up an issue, one of the volunteers specifically would bring up an issue, there was never a solution because we are not important. There was one girl who literally had like a fractured wrist. She didn't even get acknowledged for like a whole week, right? She was just working like a donkey and no one cared. She literally had bandages all over her hands and no one even asked about her. But in these meetings, whenever you try to bring something up, it just would be so dismissed. One thing Tooth Fairy really didn't like was the fact that people would just be like, yeah, but we're volunteers. Yeah, but we're volunteers. He would get so pissed off from that because he's like, I don't give a damn if you're volunteers. You're going to work like a donkey, whether I say so or not. He would get so pissed when people be like, yeah, but you're forgetting that we're volunteers. You're making us work like donkeys, but we are volunteers. He would get so pissed from that. I don't know why it riled him up so much, but it would. One of his responses sometimes would be like, yeah, but you don't need to be here. Brother, I can't go home even if I wanted to. Like, I've got a flight booked in a week. I can't just get up and leave now. I can't even jump on a bus and leave if I wanted to. I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere. What do you mean I don't need to be here? Like, he was so rude sometimes, like so disregarding, so rude. It was crazy. Especially if you weren't considered one of his favorites, like he would just be so crazy. So when things would become too much, like too many people are complaining, he would come in during the midnight meetings and be like, guys, I want to give you a choice. Do you want to tomorrow run the games till 12 a.m.? Or do you want to finish them at 11 p.m.? Let's just remember the children. Let's just remember how much fun the children would have if you allowed them to play for an extra hour. And again, remember, a lot of these volunteers are like prefrontal lobe cortex. So manipulation to them is like so easy. You can manipulate them into doing anything apparently, because the second he would give his 2 cents, they're all following into his decision. So there was no real choice. He would just give the illusion of choice. He would just back you into a corner every single time. Now, by the middle of week 2, I just was so done. I was like, I'm so sick and tired of this place. My mental health is thoroughly deteriorating. I'm becoming the worst version of myself. I'm so angry. I'm so pissed off all the time. I just don't want to be here anymore. Things need to change. So I start emailing GoToCo and I start telling them everything that's happening. And when I tell you, they're in shock. They're like, no effing way is this happening. This is not the reports that we're getting from bloody Tooth Fairy. I'm like, brother, this is what's happening. So anyways, he ends up going, the person that I'm talking to from GoToCo speaks to Tooth Fairy, and Tooth Fairy, again, more illusion of choice, more illusion of like helping us. Nothing happens. I go back, I tell GoToCo what's happening, and I basically say to them, listen, if things do not change by the end of this week, you need to book me a flight back home. I'm not doing another week in this camp. I'm not doing it. I am a qualified teacher. I do not need to be treated like a prick. I do not need to be doing babysitting for free. So I'm done. Anyways, I was promised that things were going to change. I was promised that we were going to get longer working out, longer break times, this, that. And guess what, guys? Because now it was, I think, the Wednesday and Thursday midnight meetings, I was done. My attitude had completely shifted. I was so pissed and enraged. Like, I was no more nice guy. So when it came to these midnight meetings, I would sit there, screw my face, bad energy, bad vibes. If someone asked me a question, I'm no filter. That's it. I'm done. Bite Size now would take the opportunity for these meetings to basically, I don't know, come Tooth Fairy's personal assistant. I don't know, it became very weird. She would honestly just sit there in those meetings and elongate them for so long, just asking really ridiculous questions. And now imagine, I'm pissed, I'm tired, I just couldn't stand it. So basically I told her to shut up. No, I'm joking. I didn't actually say to her, shut up. She just kept on going on and on and on. And in the final hour, she basically went, can I ask one more question? And I was like, oh my days. I did that out loud, which I know is crazy. But she goes, what's wrong, Chrissy? Do you want me to shut up? And I was like, yeah, shut up. Which, by the way, I know is not nice. It's not kind. It's mean. It's horrible. But I'm just trying to show you where this place took me mentally. So yeah, I think Tooth Fairy was, and when I started to bring up bare issues in these meetings, Tooth Fairy was not happy, because again, it's a cult. And when the cult realizes that I'm someone with voice, with passion, with brain capacity, they're not happy, because I'm bringing to the surface all their nastiness. I'm bringing to the surface the injustice, and now everyone's listening. No, they did not like that. So Friday comes and everyone's doing one-to-one meetings. Everyone's doing their one-to-one meetings, just them and Tooth Fairy. And they left me right till the end. I come to do my meeting now. Me, Tooth Fairy, and Smelly Cat. Smelly Cat comes. Smelly Cat's sitting there, yeah. By the way, this Smelly Cat was one of probably the most demonic people in the whole place. Homeboy was rossed every waking minute. Sorry, the reason why I call it demonic was because she was just so sly. This one was acting like they were my best friend the whole time. Bum licking, everything. Come into this meeting now, and Smelly Cat goes, I literally told you not to play Spanish music and you didn't listen. Like, I just think you have a problem with, like, teamwork. Tooth Fairy is telling me, listen, like, I know you've been telling Go everything that's happening here. I need to tell you something right now. Nothing is going to change. Everything's going to stay the same. So what do you want to do right now? And I said, listen, I made it very clear. If you are willing to change and you're willing to respect us as humans and stop taking away our human rights, I'll stay. I'll charge it for another 4 days. It's only 4 days. I know who I am. I could probably do it. But if you're telling me right now that you're going to maintain this attitude, you're mad. Speak to your big bosses and get me out of here. How did this sicko go to me in the meeting? Chrissy, I literally asked you to apologize to me in front of everybody and you didn't do it. I literally said to him, sorry, I was just really unaware that your masculinity was so fragile that you needed me to perform. I'm sorry, you should have reminded me. Homeboy was done. He was like, look, I can't do anything more for you. You're an amazing person. You're an amazing teacher. But I just don't think we can go forward in this relationship. I was like, brother, are you breaking up for me? What the heck is going on, you sick freak? I'm the one who said I want to leave. He's like to me, I'm going to have to go back to the big bosses and see what they say. I was like, no, there's no see what they say. You have to get me out of here. I can't be living in this limbo period. He was like, I'm so sorry, but give me 1 day and I'll figure out what we're going to do. I said, go back to your big bosses and tell them that I am leaving by the end of this weekend, or I'm going to sit in my cabin and not do shit for the rest of the week until my flight that's already booked. By the grace of God, I got a message, I think Saturday morning, basically saying, don't worry, girl, I got you out of here. He was like, spoke to the big bosses and we're paying for your flight. You're gone. I was gassed. I was living my best life. On the Saturday, me and a group of the girls, with qualified, decided to do a day trip to Salamanca. And I was like, this is the best way to go out. Like, I'll do a nice fun trip with them and then I get to leave on Sunday. So we're having so much fun with sightseeing, everything. And the girls are basically all convincing me, Chrissy, you can't leave, just stay. It's only 4 more days of camp. Like, we leave on Thursday and then we get to spend a whole day in Barcelona together. It won't be the same without you. Qualified is literally on the verge of tears. He's like, I cannot do this without you. You can't leave me. Da, 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 da. So I'm not going to lie, I got peer pressured and I was like, okay, bet. Let me just see with Tooth Fairy if it's possible for me to stay. I messaged Tooth Fairy and I'm like, hey, Toothy, I'm not going to lie, I want to stay. So wagwan. And he goes, no, you're out of here, skedaddle. He was like, no. He's like, Chrissy, you got to go. We already like made the arrangements. Like, you can't stay. And I was like, oh. Okay then. Even better. So I'm not going to lie, it was really sad for qualified, obviously, because we were like this. We were stuck at the hip. But he got through it and he was fine. He was alive. He didn't die. RIP. So it's fine. I ended up leaving on the Sunday, midday. A taxi came and got me and then took me to the bus station. And then from the bus, I went to Madrid. I got a bus from Salamanca to Madrid. And then I spent the night in Madrid. I was able to get a really cool capsule hostel where you're like literally in a capsule. It was really cool. And then I spent the morning in Madrid, had breakfast. It was like literally my own little tiny little solo trip. I loved it. It was so fun. Then I got to the airport and I went home. I really loved that last weekend. I loved everything about it. It was so fun. Yeah, it was great. What I then come to find out later is that Tooth Fairy basically went on to just talk about me so much. He was yapping about me so much unnecessarily, unprovokingly. He basically goes into the meeting and he goes, guys, let's talk about it. Does anyone have any thoughts or feelings about Chrissy? This is an open space. Talk to me. Silence. So then he goes, obviously because she made one of our own uncomfortable by telling Pipsqueak to shut up, I had to get rid of her. Homeboy was lying on my name. And obviously, because I had told everyone what happened in that meeting, I had told everyone was so well aware of what was happening. None of my friends fell for the BS or the propaganda that was trying to be spread because they knew and they saw messages, they saw emails, they knew this was all crap, right? But as per usual, no one said anything. No one corrected them. No one, because at the end of the day, and I get it, the game is the game. Everyone's kind of looking out for themselves and they know that if they pipe up, what's the reason? And I get that. What is I'm gone now. I'm away with the wind. Rip for Chrissy. So they didn't say anything in the meeting, not even my best friend, because what was that going to do for him? It was just going to cause him more issues. And I know him specifically. He continued to work with the same company and he went back to Spain for another camp. So I get it. But I'm just trying to like lay the groundwork here so that you understand that this was a theme. This was the theme. But yeah, so homeboy was really pressed by my exit, I guess. So he felt the need to put so many lies on my name. What a freak. Now, one thing that was told to us was like, obviously you can't post these kids on social media, but you can take pictures with them. You can take videos on them, because we were even told to take videos and pictures because we had to send this stuff to the teachers so that they can have this content of the kids. But none of the kids' faces on socials, yeah? We all knew that. We all respected it. I posted one video on TikTok. You cannot see any of the kids' faces. It's in the middle of the night and it's basically me singing meow 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 with the kids, and because it's pitch black you cannot see their faces. I am not an idiot. I know safeguarding, so I'm not going to post these kids' faces online. As well as that, I start my expose on TikTok, right? I start it the second I get back. I'm filled with anger, I'm filled with rage, I'm filled with so much emotion. So I start that. And obviously, the snakes at the campsite, the go-to coers, the volunteers, start watching it whilst they're in Spain. Not only are some of these snakes watching it, by the way, I'm calling them snakes because some of them went and showed Tooth Fairy and Smelly Cat. Now, tell me why Smelly Cat and Tooth Fairy start bugging out, because obviously they're being exposed. They go, no, I need to go to the big bosses. Tooth Fairy goes, I need to go to the big bosses. She can't do this. She can't expose us. She's put the kids up there. No. Crash out. Smelly Cat is saying crap like, oh no, she's going to lose her job. Excuse me? Yeah, she needs to watch out now, because now we're going to report her and she's going to lose her job in England. Smelly Cat, can you just correct me if I'm wrong? By the way, Smelly Cat is from Australia, yeah? Smelly Cat, correct me if I'm wrong, but are you not an illegal alien? Are you not an alien in Spain? Are you not running from the Spanish government? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but you're hiding in the wilderness because you are not even legally allowed to be in Spain. So who on God's green earth do you think you are to come for me and my job here in the UK? Because I heard you're an alien. I heard you're an illegal immigrant hiding in the bushes of Spain. Smoking the bushes of Spain, more like. And you want to come for me and my UK job? How about this, homegirl? I don't have a job. I'm unemployed. I'm unemployed. I'm living off daddy's money. What are you going to do? Take away my daddy's money? I just couldn't believe, like, el fogre. Sorry, I don't know, like, what's the English word for that? Like, Ida. Are you crazy? How could you say something like that when... How greedy you are? Because... How? I don't know. Crazy. So she's yapping about that, saying she's going to lose her job. And I'm hearing all of this, obviously, from my boy. Qualified. And Qualified, I'm just like, Qualified, what are you telling me? Qualified, what are you responding saying? And Qualified is just not qualifying right now. He's not. Let's be real. He's not. But it is what it is. I'm not gonna lie. Very soon after I arrived from Spain, it was Holy Week, and it just Holy Week put everything into perspective for me. Obviously, I wasn't taking time out of my day to make an expose on TikTok. I was praising the Lord, preparing for his crucifixion and his resurrection. And then after Holy Week, I just kind of, I got out of that headspace. I was like, do you know what? I really don't give a crap anymore. I don't give a crap about Spain. I don't give a crap about Toothberry or Smelly Cat anymore. I just want to be done with these people and this whole thing. And also, I did actually upset someone. I upset someone who I didn't know was on TikTok. One of the characters that I described, she ended up finding my TikTok. She heard what I said about her, and she was very upset. And she went back to Qualified to tell him, Chrissy's the meanest person in the whole world. Oh my God. Da, 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 da. And I'm not going to lie, that broke my heart, because I don't think I'm a mean person. I know I can be mean. And I know that in Spain, I was the worst version of myself. And I was very mean. And I just was crap. And I came back like crap too. So I decided that I'm going to take down those exposes. I'm going to apologize to her, which I did, obviously, because accountability is key. And I apologized to her, and I explained to her that what I did was wrong. I shouldn't have spoken about her. Obviously, I never used her real name, right? But just the fact that she knows that I was talking about her was enough. And yeah, I apologized, and not because I need her forgiveness, but because she needs to know that I know that I'm wrong. And I took all the videos down, and some of them were doing quite well, some of them are making me some money, but I was like, no, this is my punishment for being rude. I took them down. The only couple things that I have about Spain left on TikTok is just a couple of vlogs that I was taking when I was there, and then I just did a voiceover when I came back here, and they were quite funny because obviously I was fuming. And that's pretty much all that's left on TikTok about Spain. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. It was just over 2 weeks of craziness, and I came out and I'm alive, My cousin, I remember when I told her all of this, she was like, you're actually insane. How are you piping up and saying the things you're saying to these freaks? You're literally living in the middle of nowhere. You never know this tooth fairy guy, what he's capable of, what he could do to you in your cabin, come to you in the middle of the night and do it. You have no protection. None of these people that you're with are even backing you or protecting you. And you're just here piping up. Do you know how scary that is? And I was like, I'm covered in the blood of Christ. I'm good. I'll be fine. I'll be okay. And you know what? By the grace of God, I was okay. I was more than okay. So yeah, I did make a couple friends, which I didn't think was going to happen. I made a couple friends that definitely I feel like fit the purpose for the time that I was in. I can't say that I speak to anyone from Spain anymore. I've got a few of them on Instagram, but it's just, we had a really good time. A lot of jokes were made. A lot of fun times were shared. And I just feel like this was just an experience that most people are never, ever, ever going to get to have. And I had the blessing, I'm calling it a blessing, to have had this experience, to come out of it and to just be able to laugh about it, because it's actually insane. Guys, I'm literally talking about this and I can't believe it's real. I cannot believe I endured such a weird, freaky experience and was able to just leave without a scratch on my head. Madness, right? There's probably so many things that I'm skipping, forgetting, just because my brain doesn't retain, like I said, but nonetheless, I feel like you got the gist of it. I feel like you kind of understand that this is a very shady business. GoToCo and Interway are two companies that obviously come together to exploit volunteers, overwork us, essentially putting children in danger, right? Because why are 19-year-olds giving medicine to children? That's illegal, but okay, sure. But they're getting away with it, so I guess slay to them. But yeah, I really don't care what comes out of the situation anymore. I would love for this corporation to be taken down to the ground, because really and truly, no volunteer should be succumb to this. And the children that they're allowing to go onto these campsites really shouldn't have to deal with this. They really shouldn't have to be looked after by people who are high as kites, people who are hungover, or more importantly, people who are just not qualified. People who are not qualified to look after children should not be doing this job. But yeah, that is my take on the situation. But for me, I am just grateful for the fun and the jokes and the laughter that I shared with not only the children but the other camp monitors, and just the gist. Like, at the end of the day, like, this is tea, this is entertainment, and this is content for you. So I'm not mad anymore. I thank God for every single experience that I have had in my life, because I know I've learned from it, and I know that I am able to do better going forward, do better. One thing I will say is I have outgrown situations like this. I have outgrown volunteer work. I've outgrown living communally. Like, I think this was my biggest issue, right, with the people that I was with. They didn't understand that they were coming to live in a communal setting. They didn't understand they were coming to live with people. And because they're such selfish, individualistic people, they didn't know how to adjust to living with others. And personally, I can't put myself in that situation anymore. Like, I'm so done with it, because you know me, I'm the eldest of 5. Communalism is my core, right? I can't keep on being around people who don't understand that. And I'm actually too old for this shit. I'm too old to be giving my services for free now. Like, I'm done. That said, I did end up going to Kenya, but that was different because that was incredible. And that was around incredible people, right? So I hope you've enjoyed this 2-part series. It was more for entertainment than it was exposure of that stupid little company. That was my life for two weeks. Yeah, that was really interesting. I will say I lost a lot of weight, which was good, because I think I was just coming off the back of like some major depression, and I put on a lot of weight. So being in Spain for 2 weeks and hardly eating and doing like 20k steps a day was super helpful, because I came back a bit snatched. So that was really nice. And it did just kind of like kickstart me into just, getting myself back together, getting my health back together, being a bit more active. And yeah, it was a vibe. It was a vibe nonetheless. It was ghetto AF, but it was a vibe. And it was something that not a lot of people can say they did and survived from, I was Brexiter number 4, I think. And I hold my head up high. At the end of the day, if I hadn't left early, I wouldn't have got to go to like walk around Madrid by myself. I wouldn't have got to be in that really cool like capsule hostel. And I probably would have been stuck around a group of freaks for even longer. So I'm very grateful to God that I escaped the time I did. I escaped the cult and I survived. So I want to thank you all for watching and indulging in my crazy. Now, I would love for you to share what you want to hear from me in future episodes. So if you could comment what you want to hear about, if you could comment what you thought of this episode, what you thought of me generally, that'd be great, because I love to hear feedback. Only positive, of course. JK. I'm joking. Don't be mean. I can't take it. All my social media handles will be in the description below. You've got my TikTok, you've got my Instagram, and you've even got my content, my event content creation pages that I'll put below too. If you are ever in need of an event coordinator, you know where to go. I have been your host, Chrissy. I hope you have enjoyed. Please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and await another episode to find out what did she say.